Hey everyone, brace yourselves because today's video comes with a serious warning. What if I told you that some of your favorite foods, everyday essentials you rely on, might completely disappear from store shelves as early as next week? It's not a question of if anymore, but when. New reports from farmers, distributors, and supply chain insiders reveal alarming trends pointing to imminent shortages across the U.S. If you've noticed half-empty shelves or sudden price spikes at your local grocery store, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're diving deep into the data behind this crisis, unpacking everything from extreme weather crippling crops to bottlenecks in shipping that could leave us scrambling for basic staples. And let's be clear, this isn't just speculation. We've got the cold, hard facts to back it up. Buckle up as we count down the 8 foods that are most at risk of vanishing in the coming days. Trust me, you won't want to miss this, because waiting even one extra day to stock up could leave you empty-handed when it matters most. Let's jump in, starting with number 8. Prepare to be shocked. Number 8, deli meats. Recent chatter from National Grocery Insiders suggests that deli meats might be on the brink of a sudden shortage, particularly in high-volume states like New York, Illinois, and parts of California. Multiple supermarket employees claim that last week's delivery trucks arrived carrying only about 60% of the usual turkey, roast beef, and ham stock. Industry analysts attribute this dip to overlapping factors: labor disputes at meat processing facilities, persistent feed cost increases, and sporadic cold snaps affecting livestock health. Adding to the chaos, many skilled employees took extended holiday leaves or switched to higher-paying jobs, leaving processing lines understaffed. Some distributors warn that if workforce numbers don't rebound quickly, and if feed prices remain elevated, production will continue to stall. Meanwhile, transportation backlogs compound the issue. Refrigerated trucks often get rerouted to handle egg and dairy deliveries first, leaving limited capacity for deli items. As a result, some store managers have quietly reduced deli counter hours or implemented per-customer limits on popular slices. Online grocery orders also face constraints, with certain delivery platforms imposing weight-based surcharges. Despite efforts by some chains to promote plant-based sandwich alternatives as a stopgap, the reality is that many stores still rely on a fragile supply chain. If these problems persist, deli meats could vanish faster than expected. Number 7, canned soups. Within the past several days, consumer tracking apps have shown increasingly frequent out-of-stock alerts for canned soups, especially flavor-packed varieties like chicken noodle, beef barley, and hearty vegetable. One reason for this scarcity is the surge in winter demand, with buyers stocking up to weather cold snaps hitting the Midwest and Northeast. But behind the scenes, soup manufacturers are grappling with a tangled mess of raw material cost hikes and labor shortages in canning facilities. According to metal packaging industry data, the price of tin-plated steel has jumped nearly 15% in the last quarter, making it more expensive to produce the cans themselves. Meanwhile, sporadic shipping lags mean that even when manufacturers have enough product, transporting it to regional warehouses can face multi-day delays. Retailers trying to anticipate shortages sometimes overorder, only to receive shipments all at once or not at all, creating uneven supply. Shoppers in certain areas have noticed entire aisles picked clean of top brands, while lesser-known labels or generic options linger at higher price points. Some soup makers are prioritizing larger institutional clients such as cafeterias, which can leave regular grocery stores in a bind. At this rate, we may see canned soup shelves go barren practically overnight. Number 6, baby formula. Baby formula shortages dominated headlines last year, but emerging reports indicate the crisis is far from over. Data from parental advocacy groups reveal that stock levels for certain popular brands are hovering near critical lows, with many stores in the Mid-Atlantic and New England regions receiving sporadic deliveries. The root cause isn't just one thing. There's a patchwork of production slowdowns, ingredient scarcities, and strict FDA oversight that can halt an entire batch if even minor quality issues arise. Families relying on specialized formulas, like hypoallergenic blends, have been hit the hardest, often driving up to 4 hours or more in search of a single canister. Exacerbating matters, shipping priorities during the holiday rush favored higher-margin products, pushing formula to the back of the line. Some companies offered direct-to-consumer subscriptions to bypass retail bottlenecks, but these services are maxed out, with wait lists stretching for weeks. Online resellers sometimes jack up prices to double or triple the normal rate, creating panic among new parents scrambling for essential infant nutrition. Pediatricians advise against abrupt changes in formula type, which can worsen digestive issues, leaving parents in dire straits. Unless manufacturing plants ramp up to full capacity soon, these infant feeding products could vanish from shelves at any moment. Number 5. Frozen fruit. Import logs from major ports indicate that frozen fruit supplies are under severe strain, particularly berries and tropical blends prized by smoothie enthusiasts. Mexico and Chile, key exporters of strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries, have experienced a barrage of unpredictable weather patterns, from abrupt cold fronts to heavy rain that disrupts ripening. When produce is compromised, entire shipments slated for freezing can be lost or delayed, forcing distributors to scramble for last-minute replacements. Meanwhile, container ships serving routes between Latin America and U.S. ports have been overbooked with higher-profit goods, meaning fruit cargo sometimes sits for days, spoiling in transit. Domestic demand adds another layer of pressure. Diet trends touting smoothie-based meals and breakfast bowls have fueled a spike in purchases at warehouse clubs. Some chain supermarkets have begun rationing popular frozen berries or restricting bulk orders, leaving empty freezer compartments where fan-favorite mixed fruit bags once were. Processing facilities are also contending with labor gaps. Staffing a temperature-controlled plant requires specialized skills, and recent holiday turnover has slowed production lines. If the chain of bad weather and logistical holdups persists, we might see store shelves stripped of frozen raspberries and mango chunks, spurring price hikes and a mad dash for whatever remains in the freezers. Number 4. Leafy greens. Agricultural specialists warn that a fresh wave of shortages could strike the leafy greens aisle, as romaine, spinach, and kale crops face simultaneous challenges in key growing areas. In California's Salinas Valley, winter rains and sporadic cold snaps have delayed replanting schedules, leaving fields soaked and equipment in need of constant repair. Meanwhile, in Arizona's Yuma region, cooler-than-usual overnight temperatures have slowed plant growth, creating a gap in what's typically a reliable lettuce pipeline. Produce managers across the country are already feeling the pinch. Some report entire shipments arriving with a fraction of the expected volume, while others see major delays that throw off their weekly stocking plans. Complicating matters are heightened food safety protocols that require extra washing cycles and thorough inspections, further decelerating output. Shoppers in parts of the Midwest say that bagged salads and spinach packs vanish within hours of arriving, prompting stores to impose small purchasing limits or leave shelves unstocked until the next truck arrives. While some grocers have turned to imports from Mexico, cross-border regulations and currency fluctuations can inflate prices, meaning the cost of a simple salad might spike noticeably. If these weather and logistics hurdles hold steady, leafy greens could be one of the first produce casualties of the season. Number 3. Eggs. The buzz surrounding egg availability has returned, with fresh reports suggesting that certain parts of the Midwest and South are once again grappling with tight supplies. Poultry farms remain on high alert for avian influenza, a threat that triggered flock culls in late 2024 and continues to worry producers heading into 2025. Even minor outbreaks can force massive hen euthanizations, decimating both current and future egg production. Adding to the pressure, grain price fluctuations for corn and soybeans have driven up feed costs, forcing many smaller farms to scale down or delay flock expansions. Social media posts last week showcased half-empty egg sections, and some chain stores introduced purchase limits or hiked prices to manage demand. Transport complications magnify the issue. Refrigerated trucks are in high demand across the board, meaning egg shipments sometimes get bumped for higher-margin goods like specialty dairy or seafood. This can cause spot shortages at unpredictable times, leaving consumers wondering if their store will restock in a day or a week. With the popularity of alternative egg products also surging, liquid egg whites and plant-based substitutes are selling out quickly. Analysts warn that a nationwide egg crunch could be on the horizon sooner than anyone anticipated. Number 2. Chicken. Throughout January, poultry processors have flagged escalating disruptions that could leave supermarket coolers low on chicken cuts by next week. Unstable feed costs, mirroring the challenges plaguing egg producers, are pushing smaller chicken farms toward drastic measures, including flock reductions to cut overhead. Some states in the Southeast have seen random cases of avian influenza, igniting fears that any spike in infections might trigger widespread culls similar to last year's egg layer crisis. Labor shortages compound the trouble at processing plants, where unfilled positions slow the disassembly lines and reduce output. According to trade group data, workforce capacity at certain facilities is only at about 80%, creating order backlogs for grocery chains. Distributors note that the trucking industry, still reeling from driver turnover, often prioritizes faster-loading goods like frozen items over transporting fresh poultry in temperature-sensitive vehicles. Social media rumors about a looming chicken shortage have only spurred more panic buying. Thousands of households have reported stocking up on everything from boneless breasts to family-size wings. Once stores run through existing inventories, managers predict it may be several days or even weeks before new shipments arrive consistently. All these forces converge to suggest that if you rely on chicken for your weekly meals, you might face empty shelves very soon. Number 1. Coffee. Alarming updates from global coffee exporters indicate we could be on the cusp of a major shortage that leaves U.S. shelves and kitchen counters bereft of beans. Brazil, the world's top coffee producer, experienced erratic frosts last season that stunted crop growth in the highlands, while continued rainfall fluctuations delay harvesting schedules. Local co-ops report yield losses of up to 30% in some areas, triggering a scramble among international buyers to lock in whatever stock remains. Meanwhile, shipping congestion has become a nightmare, with containers full of beans stuck in port queues for days or rerouted to handle more time-sensitive cargo. Roast masters in the Pacific Northwest say that on-time deliveries have become a rarity. They're now forced to pay premium freight rates just to keep beans flowing. Even once the coffee arrives stateside, labor shortages at roasting facilities add yet another bottleneck. Consumers have begun noticing subtle rationing at coffee shops. Some baristas quietly limit signature blends or raise prices to offset rising supply costs. Supermarket shelves with bagged coffee and single-serve pods might soon look shockingly sparse. If these overlapping issues persist, that morning cup of joe could become an overpriced luxury item, if you can find it at all, in the coming days.